In the section of Algebra 1, section 1.4, we are going to talk about the properties of algebra, and this is going to be a part 1 of 2 series. Now, growing up, I always thought that algebra was algebra, and languages, math was never a language to me until I started teaching math and realized that how important knowing the specific name for certain things is. If you know the name of certain things, you know how to say it in math, that's what makes it important. That's what makes it stands out. And I'm hoping that this will be kind of the same for you guys over here. So let's go ahead and talk about some of these properties so that way you can get well adjusted to it. There are a total of 7 that we're looking at for today, and then there are going to be a few more next time, so we'll get into that a little bit later on. So first, starting with the first property over here, the additive identity. Now, this is going to be true for any number a, b, and c, so those are the variables that I'm going to be using. So for the additive identity, it goes as follows. For any number, we'll go ahead and call it a in this case. If you have a plus 0, and that is supposedly equal to 0 plus a, the result is that is equal to a. Yes, any number plus 0 is always going to be itself, and 0 plus any number is always going to be equal to itself. So the additive identity is just saying, hey, you take any number, you add to 0, and you're always going to get itself then. For the next one, multiplicative identity, it's kind of the same idea, but except it's just looking at multiplying. So if you take any number a and then you multiply by, you guessed it, 1, the result is then equal to 1 multiplied by the number a, and then that is going to be equal to a as itself, just the same. Now the next one, multiplicative property of 0, is a little bit different, but hopefully you can kind of understand where this is coming from. If you take any number and you multiply by 0, the result is always going to be equal to 0. So that's what the multiplicative property of 0 is going to say then. Take a number a, multiply by 0, and the result is that you're going to get 0 then, and that is also the same thing as 0 multiplied by a is equal to 0 then. Note that for multiplication, a times b is the same thing as b times a, so that's why I'm just kind of writing both ways just to make it easier for you to see. As for the 4th, 5th, and 6th property, those are going to be reflexive, symmetric, and transitive. And it goes as follows. For the reflexive property, it's just simply a is equal to a. So if any number is equal to itself, we call it the reflexive property. The symmetric property, that one, we say that if the number a is equal to b, then the result is that b is also equal to a. So you can kind of see there's kind of a flip, and that's why it's symmetric then, like a mirror basically. For the transitive property, it's almost the same idea. If you have a is equal to b, and also b is equal to c, then the result is that if you connect them all together, a is equal to c then. For the symmetric, reflexive, and transitive property, I feel like there's kind of like an easy way to remember it. Look at the number of variables that are involved. For reflexive, there's just one variable. For symmetric, there are 2 variables, a and b. For transitive, there are 3 variables, a, b, and c. So to me, the easiest way to remember is that we have r, s, t, and then we have 1, 2, and 3. So if that helps you remember it, I'm hopefully glad to help you use it. And for the last one, for the substitution method, it says that if you have a is equal to b, and it's such that you replace a with b, then that is going to be the substitution property then. And we'll go ahead and use that just so that you can see how is that actually going to be used in this case. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at some of these examples right here underneath A through H. And I tried my best to make it so that it's one of each, and there's going to be one that's going to be repeat. So hopefully we can kind of catch that. So for the first one, part A, 5 times 0 is equal to 0. Now, if you look at the list, what I would like for you to do is I want you to state the identity or actually property in this case that's being used here. So 5 times 0 is equal to 0. So the first thing that's probably coming to mind is maybe something that's multiplying. And since the result is that it's equal to 0, then I'm looking at multiplicative property of 0 then. So that one is going to be our answer. So we're going to go ahead and write multiplicative property of 0. And that is our relationship. And that's pretty much it. For part B, same idea. If 7 is equal to A and A is equal to B, then 7 is equal to B. Looks to me like there are 3 things that are here. And as we said earlier, the closest one that matches up is going to be probably the transitive property. So that's going to be our answer then. So transitive property. And by the way, feel free if you want to try and stop this video and do these on your own over here. And then that way I can reveal the answers. And if you get them correct, hey, great. But if not, then we'll talk about them. Part C, this one's a little bit hard to see. You'll see that we have 9 multiplied by 20 minus 15, and then we have 9 multiplied by 5 as a result. Now, if you notice, it's 20 minus 5, 20 minus 15 that gets replaced by 5 right there. And that right there is basically a substitution because you're replacing 20 minus 15 with something that's a little bit simpler, which is 5. So like it says, if A is equal to B and A is then replaced with B, then that's going to be your substitution. So in our case, we're going to go ahead and set that and we're going to write it out, substitution. For part D, that is going to be the reflexive property because you just have one single term that's equal to itself. So we'll go ahead and write that in, reflexive. And again, hopefully, you guys are looking at the worksheet afterwards. So then that way you guys have more of these examples that you can go ahead and try it on your own too. Part E, 4 is equal to 1 times 4. Anytime you multiply by something, it's equal to itself. I feel like that's going to be your identity. And more specifically, it's the multiplicative identity. So here, we'll go ahead and write that out. So multiplicative identity. Okay. So it looks like so far everything's matching up 1 for 1, so we're in a good shape. Part F, if 2x plus 1 is equal to a and x is equal to 5, then 2 times 5 plus 1 is equal to a. So I feel like this one is basically going to be a repeat of part C because you'll notice that x does get replaced by 5 in that equation. So for me, this one is going to be a substitution then. I'll just abbreviate it just to make it a little bit easier too. Part G, if 9 is equal to 10 minus 1, then 10 minus 1 is equal to 9. Now I know that some of you guys might think, oh, well, 10 minus 1 is equal to 9. That's very similar to substitution because you're replacing it with something that is simple. But if you look carefully with my statement, if 9 is equal to 10 minus 1 and 10 minus 1 is equal to 9, the orientation of the equation is swapped. So then that means that I have A is equal to B, then B is equal to A. So here, if I can write it out for you, A is equal to B is going to be my statement. And then the result is that now it says B is equal to A. And because of that, that's really going to be a symmetric property. So it's not substitution here. So just, hopefully you can carefully catch that one. So that's going to be the symmetric property. And finally, for the last one, 0 plus 7 is equal to 7. Looks like a number added by 0 is equal to itself. So the final answer is going to be the additive identity. So we're going to go ahead and write that in, additive identity then. All right, so play around with the worksheet. Hopefully you guys will have a chance to see how this works out. I will see you guys next time. Have a good one.